In 2026, the most expensive thing you can own isn't a piece of crypto real estate or a vintage leather jacket. It's your attention. We're living in a period of extreme time currency inflation. And yet, for the better part of a decade, we've been throwing that currency into a black hole called the situationship. But something happened this year. A vibe shift so tectonic it has rendered the cool detached persona not just boring, but a massive ick. Remember 2024? The era of detective fatigue? We were all amateur forensic linguists, spending hours in the group chat deconstructing the semiotics of a blue heart emoji versus a red one. We were exhausted. We were operating in a state of constant low-grade cortisol spikes, waiting for a text that felt more like a riddle than a communication. The situationship was marketed to us as freedom, a way to have intimacy without the weight of labels. But by 2026, we've realized it was actually a high-interest loan with no equity. Today, the power dynamic has flipped. High-value individuals, people with actual skin in the game of life, no longer have the bandwidth for the see where it goes trap. We are witnessing the rise of clear coding, the ultimate high-value dating strategy that uses radical transparency as a weapon of efficiency. If you aren't clear coding, you aren't playing the field. You're just losing the war of attrition. To understand why the situationship died, we have to look at the economic and emotional ROI. In the 2026 economy, mental energy is a scarce resource. We are navigating a world of AI-integrated workflows and hyper-stimulation. We simply do not have the surplus glucose to spend 3 days wondering if "hey" means "I miss you" or "I'm bored and you're the third person on my list." The situationship was a bad investment. It offered high anxiety for low reward. It promised low pressure, but that was a psychological fallacy. True low pressure is knowing exactly where you stand. The situationship actually created a constant gnawing stress of unmet expectations. It's the psychological equivalent of an app running in the background of your phone, draining your battery while you aren't even using it. Furthermore, we've seen a massive cultural rejection of performance dating. We've reached a point where emotional vibe coding, the act of signaling your internal state clearly, is the new status symbol. In 2026, vulnerability isn't cringe, it's a non-negotiable entry requirement. Being mysterious is now synonymous with being unreliable. And in a fast-paced world, unreliability is a low-status trait. The term clear coding comes from software engineering. Clean code is written so that any other developer can look at it and understand exactly what it's supposed to do. There are no bugs, no hidden dependencies, and no legacy junk. In dating, a clear coder communicates in a way that is readable, accurate, and free of subtext. They treat their intentions like a public API, open, accessible, and standardized. The clear coding manifesto starts with unapologetic intent. The clear coder doesn't wait for date 4 to bring up the talk. They practice hyper-intentionality. This might mean stating, "I am looking for a life partner, not a pen pal," within the first 15 minutes of a coffee date. To the old-school dater, this sounds desperate. To the 2026 high-value dater, this is simply a filter. If that sentence scares you, you are a bug in the system, and the system just successfully purged you. Next are value-first filters. We've moved past the "what's your favorite movie" phase. Clear coding involves skipping the surface-level small talk to discuss hot takes. These are deep dive probes into values, lifestyle ethics, and deal breakers. Questions like, How do you handle conflict with your parents? Or what is your philosophy on financial autonomy? The goal isn't to be polite, it's to be accurate. Finally, there is the vetting village, or Friendfluence. In 2026, we've realized the romantic dyad is too small a bubble. Clear coders involve their community or the group chat much earlier. It's not about seeking permission. It's about utilizing the external logic of people who aren't blinded by oxytocin. If you can't introduce them to your circle within 3 weeks, they aren't clear-coded. There is a common fear that clear coding makes you too much, that you'll scare people off. Exactly. That's the point. Selectivity is the ultimate flex of confidence. When you clear code, you are essentially saying, my life is already a high-functioning ecosystem. I am only interested in an addition that enhances it, not a project that requires troubleshooting. Think of it as the psychology of self-elimination. If your honesty scares someone away, it's not a failure, it's a feature. The wrong ones are people who thrive on the chase and avoid loop. By being radically clear, you make yourself unfun for the avoidant personality type. You are essentially installing a firewall against ghostlighting, that phenomenon of being ghosted while being led to believe everything is fine. Clear coding is, at its core, an act of self-care. It fosters secure attachment by removing the guesswork gap. When the code is clear, your nervous system can stay regulated. You aren't in fight or flight mode because you aren't hunting for clues. You are simply observing data. This allows you to show up as your best self rather than a frantic, detective version of yourself. How do you shift from a situationship dweller to a clear coder? It requires an audit of your entire dating stack. Start with the profile audit. Stop being relatable and start being specific. A 2024 bio said, "Just looking for someone to vibe with." That is low value and high ambiguity. A 2026 clear-coded bio says, "Current life goal, building a sustainable business. Value, radical honesty. Anti-value, passive aggression." If you're looking for a situationship, keep scrolling. My time is already booked. Then, update your first date protocol. Transition from interviewing to co-creating. Instead of asking, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" which invites a rehearsed script, try, "I'm currently optimizing my life for stability and growth. How does your current lifestyle accommodate a partner with those values?" You aren't checking boxes, you're checking for system compatibility. Finally, you must handle the resistance. What happens when you meet someone who is as clear as mud mixed with Nutella? They give you the classic lines, "I don't like labels," or "I'm just living in the moment." In 2026, we have a protocol for this. You don't try to convince them. You don't wait it out. You simply say, "I appreciate the honesty. It sounds like our operating systems aren't compatible. Best of luck." And then, this is the crucial part. You actually leave. A clear coder knows that vague response is simply a system error. We are moving toward an era of conscious partnerships. The swipe burnout of the early 2020s was a symptom of a market flooded with bad code. We were all trying to build something lasting on a foundation of vibes, and as we've learned, vibes are volatile. The death of the situationship isn't about the return of old-fashioned dating. It's about the evolution of high-value emotional intelligence. It's about recognizing that in a world of infinite noise, the most attractive thing you can be is a clear signal. Being easy to read isn't being basic, it's being elite. It means you've done the internal work to know what you want, and you have the external courage to ask for it. So as you look at your current roster or your current thing, I want you to ask yourself, are you still dating for the plot? Addicted to the drama and the forensic deconstruction of text messages? Or are you finally ready to date for the person?